Support WrestleTalk!
Support each other. So AEW Blood and Guts got people talking. The hype was off the chain, and the match for the most part delivered a violent spectacle, a kind of which you don't really see very often on televised wrestling, which apparently has pissed WWE right off. Because Ringside News are reporting that they've been told by a tenured member of WWE Creative that conversations backstage at AEW's greatest rival have not been favourable to a match that has been dubbed barbaric, with all of its bloodletting. Now, this member of Creative said that it was a bad image for the industry, especially the obvious blading. Now, from a match that was named as a shot at Vince McMahon, you would expect that thought in Vince's camp wouldn't be overwhelmingly positive. But you've got to consider that WWE has made public statements on blading before. They've doled out fines. In fact, I did a whole video on it on PFK. WWE have also, though, been known to break their own rules when they think a moment requires it, but I can't recall many recent WWE moments quite as bloody as what AEW cooked up. Now, Ringside News' contact also said that Jericho's big spot to close the show received jeers backstage at WWE, with some saying that Y2J wants to be Shane McMahon now. Ouch. Although I guess not ouch, because look at the size of that crash mat! Now, its presence for the finale was a major bone of contention for fans and set off a whole thing on Twitter about diving onto concrete. Don't at me in the comments, I'm just the messenger, I'm just telling you what happened. So when I saw that AEW had offered people in the audience refunds, I thought the reaction can't have been that bad. Sure, the obviousness of the crash mat was a letdown and definitely undermined some of the drama of the finish, but it wasn't refund bad. Don't at me in the comments. Fortunately though, this wasn't a case of Chris Jericho didn't donk himself on the concrete, so I want my money back. Let me explain. Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio pointed out that the first hour of the show had been pre-taped a few weeks ago with no fans in attendance, something we've spoken about before on the WrestleTalk podcast. Meltzer said that this choice was made because of how long it takes to set up the two rings and cage needed for the Blood and Guts match. Explaining, the first hour plus of the show was really interesting because it was all taped with no fans a couple of weeks ago, the whole first hour. They did it to pretend it was live, so they actually set up the two rings when they did the taping, because to set up the cage for the thing would take forever and they couldn't do it live. They just couldn't. So that's why when they did the advertising, they advertised it was going to be a one-match show. The idea was a one-match show for the people who bought tickets, and so they wanted to tell everyone. There were people there who didn't even know, though, it had been advertised that way. Fans in attendance for Bladapalooza were played the first pre-taped hour, meaning that the crowd noise heard on TV from that was genuinely coming from people in the arena who were watching it on big screens. Now, according to Meltzer, the situation was explained to the audience by Tony Khan before the event kicked off. Dave said, when the show started, Tony Khan came before the cameras, went on, just goes, okay, this is the situation. The first hour of this show is taped. We're going to be playing it on the screens. However, your crowd noise is going to be the crowd noise in this match, so cheer and boo like you would. So the crowd noise was not fake crowd noise. It was the real crowd noise from this crowd, but the matches themselves were taped a couple of weeks ago. And he, Tony Khan, explained before that if for some reason you didn't hear this and you're unhappy, you can get a refund, and they did give 5 refunds. Those are the 5 people who wanted to donk his head on the concrete. Interestingly, PW Insider are also noting that Darby Allin's latest crazy stunt, being thrown down the steps by Ethan Page, was also shot live. Feeling unnecessary. Insider also told that Cody Rhodes and several talents in the Blood and Guts match were actually busted open hard way, meaning that there was more blood than planned during the main event, but overall, no major injuries. Not entirely sure about the hard way thing. But all the red stuff and the hype going into it managed to bolster Dynamite's viewership to a healthy 1.09 million, which is up from last week's 889,000 viewers. It is still, however, the second lowest rating Dynamite has pulled since NXT moved over to Tuesdays, but it's possibly indicative of like a faithful audience beginning to settle into the show. Now, AEW also got a 0.58 rating in the 18 to 49 demo, whatever that means, and was the #1 show on cable for the night for the first time in the show's history. More news in a mo, but here's Luke with a quick word from this video's sponsor.
Before we get on with the rest of the video, it's time to thank today's sponsor. Move over, Blades of Glory. I wanna play guns. of Glory. Guns of Glory is an epic, legendary strategy mobile game set in an alternate history European continent with steampunk style and graphics which look awesome. The throne has been taken and you must act as loyal musketeers to protect the king and stop the cardinal's schemes. Damn you, Cardinal! You can develop your city, play with friends, and join alliances to fight together and battle against enemies in this immersive world setting and storyline. A story that you will find yourself getting so wrapped up in you will want to unveil the secrets of the Iron Mask Man. What secrets do you know, Iron Mask Man? And challenge yourself in the really fun Rampart minigame. Download Guns of Glory today using the link in the video description down below, using the code GOG WrestleTalk to redeem an in-game starter pack that will help you build your settlement, speeding up the process with plenty of resources. This is a limited time offer though, it's first come first serve. You cannot just Charlotte Flair your way into this situation, you must act now. And if you download Guns of Glory, again with the video description down below, you will be automatically entered into a giveaway to win $50 worth of Amazon gift cards, which you could use to buy Blades of Glory on DVD. It is a very, very funny film. So download Guns of Glory today using the promo code GOG WrestleTalk to redeem that in-game starter pack and be entered into the prize draw for $50 worth of Amazon gift cards. Support WrestleTalk, support Guns of Glory.
And just before we crack on, we need to thank our wonderful patrons, Wonderwall, Brian Gallagher, and Ryan Disco Stewart. Thanks, guys. Fresh off the press, come and get it. It's the Wrestling Observer newsletter, which came out and brings with it another monolithic star rating for a New Japan match. At Wrestling Dontaku Night 2, current IWGP Heavyweight Champion Will Ospreay defeated Shingo Takagi in a 45-minute main event that Dave Meltzer handed a 6-star rating. Now, Meltzer quoted commentator Kevin Kelly saying, "We're prisoners of the moment. I've called Omega and Okada, I've called Tanahashi and Okada, I've called Jay and Ibushi, but this is the best wrestling match I've ever called." Dave's review said that Ospreay and Takagi had to pick up the slack from 6 guys, including the semi-main event not being there. They did that and then some. This was the best of the 3 classic matches the two have had up to this point, and their 2019 match beat Omega versus Tanahashi at the Tokyo Dome for Match of the Year. At 6 stars, it joins Okada and Omega #1 and a few others as the 3rd highest rating Dave has ever doled out. Okada and Omega 2 and 3 are numbers 2 and 1 respectively. Ospreay now goes on to face Okada at Wrestle Grand Slam on May 29th. See if you can up the star rating in that one. Guess who's high on someone backstage? Oh no, wait, sorry, I read that wrong. Guess who's high backstage? It's Riddle, who has admittedly consistently been one of the more entertaining parts of Raw, kind of sailing over that low bar with a little bar spin for good measure. Longitudinal, dude. Riddle's odd couple pairing with Randy Orton, RK Bro, has been a fun diversion from the same old matches we've had for 3 months now. And thankfully, it seems like this isn't some short-term fling for the pair either. A new report from PW Insider has said that the pair are in line for a sizable push and new merchandise for the team is going to be released shortly. RK Bro branded flip-flops now. And considering the Raw tag team division is undergoing something of a restructure / complete collapse at the minute, Randy's star power and Riddle's comedy chops could see these bros floating to the very top of that division, which would be Riddle's first main roster tag team title. His last mismatched team with Pete Dunne in NXT managed to secure them the NXT Tag Team Championships, while Orton has previously held tag gold with the Wyatt family and alongside Edge as rated RKO. Other talk in the WrestleSphere this week is centered on the series of A&E documentaries currently airing about WWE legends, with the latest taking a no-holds-barred look at Macho Man Randy Savage, which was not to everyone's liking, especially not Hall of Famer and fellow NWO alumni Sean Waltman, who buried the doc during an appearance on Pro Wrestling for Life, saying, "I didn't like it, man. They went in hard on Match. He's not around to defend himself. He's not around to say, hey, that's not true. He's not here, man, and I just didn't like it. I wasn't a fan of it. And I don't understand how Bubba the Love Sponge ended up having so much airtime." I was in Tampa back then and they were hard on Match over the airwaves in Tampa. It was up. And I've even been on the air with some of them and actually said, "You're not going to talk about Match while I'm here." They respected that. I love match. A lot of that stuff they said, it was obviously stuff everyone's heard before. I don't even want to go into it. I just didn't think it was cool at all. I really was highly disappointed in that. Go away, give the people what they want. It's the cat. What have you done this morning, Terry? I've been sick on the floor. Yeah, you have. You weird guy. Don't just come back in here. Go on. Be gone. I mean, he's going to headbutt the door open and come back in about 10 seconds time. Meanwhile, WWE's trial by trash bag has been trundling on as more former stars reveal that they too received their gear in garbage bags upon leaving the company. Or even, sometimes, someone else's. Because you've likely seen that Chelsea Green revealed that she'd been accidentally sent Natalia's gear, which opened the door for former Renee Young, now Renee Paquette, to talk about it on her Oral Sessions podcast. She said, I also had my stuff sent to me in a trash bag. I didn't think much of it. It was a similar experience to Chelsea Green. She was on her podcast saying she's got stuff that wasn't even hers. It was like Natalia's boots. That's what happened with mine. I ended up texting a bunch of the girls in the locker room. I got a bunch of makeup, someone's full makeup bag. No one claimed it. I can picture the person packing it up and not really thinking twice about it because that's obviously how it's been done for so long and no thought was put behind it. Not thinking of what the subliminal message might be to the other person on the other end, the hurt feelings. Now, Paul Heyman has always been one of the best talkers in the wrestling business, and his pairing with Roman Reigns has only exemplified that, with him being able to change his promo style entirely to fit the tribal chief character as opposed to the loud and boisterous one when he was paired with Brock Lesnar. However, in news that would be entirely unsurprising if you've been paying any attention whatsoever, Heyman revealed in an interview with Sports Illustrated that the goal of a Heyman promo is to put over Roman Reigns' opponent, which makes Roman Reigns look a lot better when he wins. It's classic wrestling. He said at this stage, the Paul Heyman promo is to enlighten the audience to just how talented and how great and how marketable the opponent for Roman Reigns is, and then by contrast, even if Roman Reigns' opponent is a 12 on a scale of 0 to 10, he's still not at Roman Reigns' level. That is booking 101 that. Don't tear people down, build them up, and then when you beat them, you look better. Unless it's Louis, who I'm taking on for the Jam That Championship, because he is useless. Now, a prime example of this was Heyman's promo from last week's episode of SmackDown, where he put over the entire list of Daniel Bryan's accomplishments before Bryan was beaten by Reigns in the main event. Smart man, Paul Heyman. What's Louis achieved? Learn more about the fan fury over AEW's Blood and Guts by pressing the video to the right, and you can watch Luke Owen and Denise Salcedo on the WrestleTalk podcast from today by pressing the video below that. Don't forget to subscribe here for daily wrestling news. I've been El Fakador Laurie Blake. Jam that jam. I'm also the Jampion. It's over there somewhere, but I'm not going to pick it up.